Good morning, friends. Good morning, church. Good morning, church. Good morning, friends, sisters, and brothers. And welcome to another week and welcome to another episode of PB Reads the Bible. Good morning. I'm PB, Pastor Brian. And I am the pastor here at Christ United Methodist Church. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Some of you are doing it live. Um, some of you might be watching it this afternoon, this evening after you get home from work. Others might be trying to catch up later in the week. Whatever. It means you're taking time, you're making time to listen to me, to watch me, and that is very humbling. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. We are on our journey through the book of Genesis. Excuse me. We are on our journey through the book of Genesis. Today is day 15. We're actually on chapter 20. And I think we're actually going to try to get through two chapters today, 20 and 21. Oh, I know so much. But chapter 20 is very brief, and there's really not a whole lot to talk about in there. Then we get into chapter 21, which has a little bit more, and it's a little bit longer. So we'll see. We'll see. First thing that's going to happen is I'm going to have to shut up and get to it, right? Stop just babbling. Anyway, as you excuse me, as you tune in, if you're and this doesn't matter if you're tuning in live or if you're tuning in some other time, let me know you're there. Let me know you're there. Yeah, day 15. Because Facebook, YouTube, they just give me numbers of people that watch. And I like to put a name with a number. So say good morning, say hello to me, to each other, say something. And if you have special, if you have special prayer requests, you can do that as well. Put a comment in about that. But if you've got comments or questions about the reading, also feel free to share. Feel free to share on that, to ask away in the comment section. You can also send me a text if you'd prefer to do it that way. 570-351-1619. I will so when you see me looking off to the side, either that way or that way, it's because I'm checking the computer or my phone to see if anybody's saying anything and asking anything. But please know, and I'm going to apologize in advance because computer, Facebook doesn't always tell me right away when you've got a question or when something gets posted. I see some things, and then there, for some reason, I don't see things until it shuts, until we finish. But I do go back in and check. I check attendance on people. Anyway, oh, there we are. We got some folks checking in. Good morning, John and Cindy. Good morning, Cheryl, and a happy birthday to you as well. And good morning, Joel. Yes, it is a great morning. It's lovely out there this morning. I had an interesting experience. I went out for a run this morning, just 3 miles, and as I'm running, first I saw an egret take off from this little Stillwater creek, and fly across in front of me and go off into the woods, which was cool. And I get up a little bit further around a little turn, and I wasn't super paying attention. I should be more intentional and observant. But just as I'm making the turn, just off to the side of the road, so 15, maybe 20 feet away from me is a fawn standing there by the side of the road. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Get a little bit farther down, and two deer run right across in front of me. A little bit farther along, I saw one about to come out onto a busy street, but I think my presence, me running up, turned him or her around because it was a youngster, I think. But I'm going to say it's probably a her. Turn around and go back into the yard that she was getting ready to come out from. And as they get closer, there were four of them standing in there. Good stuff. Good stuff. Now, the one little one that was just off to the side of the road, I tried to pull my phone out and turn the camera on, but by the time I did that, she was gone into the brush. So I was looking for that beguiled by beauty picture. Yes, exactly, beguiling beauty. Yes, indeed, Cheryl. I tried, but couldn't get my camera out in time. Anyway, so chapter 20. We're going to chapter 20 and then into hopefully through chapter 20 and 21 as well. So a reminder, because this one here, chapter 20 specifically, gives us more reason and more proof when we slow down to really look at it, and connect it to other chapters, keeping it in context of where it is, and looking at different chapters together. We can be encouraged to not read things literally. Okay, don't think of it as a historical account, because only two chapters ago, where the author says that Abraham is 100 years old, 99, 100, whatever, it says both in the same chapter. And it also says that Sarah is 90. So let's not read those numbers literally. The author is just saying that they're old. Now, why do I say that? Because in this chapter, we're going to see that this one king that Abraham wants to live in the area of wants to take Sarah as one of his wives. And logically, does it make sense if she was that old? So it's there. A lot of this stuff is myth, just trying to express and explain stories and connect things together. But so let's not read those things so literally, people. Okay. Good morning, Marilyn. Good to see you with us this morning also. Anyway, so chapter 20, starting at verse 1. Abraham moved south to the Negev and lived for a while between Kadesh and Shur. And then he moved on to Gerar. While living there as a foreigner, Abraham introduced his wife, Sarah, by saying, "She is my sister." So King Abimelech of Gerar sent for Sarah and had her brought to him at his palace. Pause. Notice a couple things about this passage. God didn't tell Abraham to move down into the Negev. God didn't tell Abraham to go into Gerar to live as a foreigner and all this other stuff. Abraham is choosing to do all of this on his own. And what does he do? Same thing he did last time when they went to Egypt. Oh, yeah, she's my sister. She's my sister. And Abimelech has her sent for. Okay, he has sent for Sarah and had her brought to him. She has no choice in the matter, because she's property. As beloved as she might be, she is property. So he sends for her. It's not oh, hey, you want to come join us over here at the castle? No. It's you're coming to my place. But that night, God came to Abimelech in a dream and told him, "You are a dead man, for that woman you have taken is already married." But Abimelech had not slept with her yet. So he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Didn't Abraham tell me she is my sister?" And she herself said, "Yes, he is my brother. I acted in complete innocence. My hands are clean." In the dream, God responded, "Yes, I know you are innocent. That's why I kept you from sinning against me and why I did not let you touch her. Now return the woman to her husband, and he will pray for you, for he is a prophet. Then you will live. But if you don't return her to him, you can be sure that you and all your people will die." Abimelech got up early the next morning and quickly called all his servants together. When he told them what had happened, his men were terrified. Then Abimelech called for Abraham. "What have you done to us?" he demanded. "What crime have I committed that deserves treatment like this, making me and my kingdom guilty of this great sin?" No one should ever do what you have done. Whatever possessed you to do such a thing?" Abraham replied, "I thought, this is a godless place. They will want my wife and will kill me to get her. It's all about me. It's all about me. And she really is my sister, for we both have the same father, but different mothers. And I married her. When God called me to leave my father's home and to travel from place to place, I told her, 'Do me a favor. Wherever we go, tell the people that I am your brother.' Then Abimelech took some of his sheep and goats and cattle, male and female servants, and he presented them to Abraham. He also returned his wife, Sarah, to him. Then Abimelech said, 'Look over my land and choose any place where you would like to live.' And he said to Sarah, 'Look, I am giving your brother 1,000 pieces of silver in the presence of all these witnesses. This is to compensate you for any wrong I may have done to you. This will settle any claim against me, and your reputation is cleared.' Then Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female servants so they could have children. For Hashem had caused all the women to be infertile because of what happened with Abraham's wife, Sarah. Pause. End of chapter. Oh, and good morning, Colleen. Good to have you joining us this morning as well. So, see some similarities back to that story about when Abraham went to Egypt, that Hashem had inflicted a plague upon Egypt, and the Midrash, the Jewish folklore that fills in the blanks, said that it was basically one that could be cured by a little blue pill. That was that kind of a thing. So it has to do with fertility and the ability to procreate and have male children. Again, this story indicates that it was a similar kind of um, affliction that Hashem put upon, in this case, it's being specific, Abimelech, as well as his wives and the women. Uh, his wives and his female servants. So it's a little bit more specific, just Abimelech, his wives, his female servants, so that they couldn't have kids. So that they couldn't have kids. And then Hashem takes away this penalty after Abimelech treats Abraham and Sarah so well and gives Sarah back to Abraham. But again, the intrigue and the plotting and underhanded stuff taking place by Abraham, this person that we lift up as a model, excuse me, in 3 of the great world religions, right? Abraham is revered in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam as this great model of faith and this revered father, etc., etc. And yet we see, when we look closely, we see all of these imperfections and the plotting and deviousness that he does, and how he's very concerned about himself sometimes rather than others. You know, so there's flashes of greatness, and there's also flashes of humanness in him, which is important to remember. It truly is. When we, with all of the characters of the Bible, all the stories of the Bible, it's important to remember and notice the times when they got it wrong. It's important to notice and remember the times when they got it wrong, the times when they failed, the times when they were 100% human and less than perfect, because that reminds us and encourages us that in spite of the times that we get it wrong, God can still use us for amazing things. All right, so chapter 21. Told you we got through chapter 20 pretty quick. And 21, there's a little bit more here in 21, but I still think we'll be okay. We'll be okay. We'll get through this because there's a little bit more to talk about, but not a whole lot. This is a good chapter too. All right, chapter 21. Hashem kept his word and did for Sarah exactly what he had promised. She became pregnant, and she gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age. This happened at just the time God had said it would, and Abraham named their son Isaac. He laughs. 8 days after Isaac was born, Abraham circumcised him as God had commanded. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. And Sarah declared, God has brought me laughter. All who hear about this will laugh with me. Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse a baby? Yet I have given Abraham a son in his old age. When Isaac grew up and was about to be weaned, Abraham prepared a huge feast to celebrate the occasion. But Sarah saw Ishmael, the son of Abraham, and her Egyptian servant Hagar, making fun of her son Isaac. So she turned to Abraham and demanded, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son. He is not going to share the inheritance with my son Isaac. I won't have it." This upset Abraham very much because Ishmael was his son. But God told Abraham, "Do not be upset over the boy and your servant. Do whatever Sarah tells you, for Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. But I will also make a nation of the descendants of Hagar's son, because he is your son too." So Abraham got up early the next morning, prepared food and a container of water, and strapped them on Hagar's shoulders. Then he sent her away with their son, and she wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she put the boy in the shade of a bush. Then she went and sat down by herself, about 100 yards away. "I don't want to watch the boy die," she said, as she burst into tears. But God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven, "Hagar, what's wrong? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation from his descendants." Then God opened Hagar's eyes, and she saw a well full of water. She quickly filled her water container and gave the boy a drink. And God was with the boy as he grew up in the wilderness. He became a skillful archer, and he settled in the wilderness of Paran. His mother arranged for him to marry a woman from the land of Egypt. Pause. Yeah, I read that whole thing without interrupting because just because it's a beautiful passage. Now, so Sarah's upset because Hagar and Ishmael are there, and Ishmael is technically the eldest of Abraham's sons. So there could be some, even though she's of a servant, a slave woman, there could be some objections with regards to inheritance. So she's really worried about money. She's worried about property. She's worried about what her son is going to have and not wanting to give any of it away to somebody else. But let's remember that Sarah's plotting is what got that whole situation started in the first place. Sarah's plotting got that whole thing started in the first place. She's the one that had the idea of letting of using Hagar, of pimping her out to Abraham. to have a child through her, through her. And that's what happened. So, but now she just wants to get rid of him. Maybe, it's just that constant reminder, seeing her and seeing the boy. Mostly it's about money, but there also might be a little sense of guilt thrown in there, remembering, that's my fault. What did I do? Why did I do that? So she sends him away. The earlier time when Hagar tried to run away, she named God the God who sees. What's interesting here, another beautiful passage, that God hears. And again, it's that idea of God hearing the crying of the boy, right? Which is an echo to the book of Exodus, because that idea comes out several times. I have heard my people. I have heard my people. And so here we have an angel of God, one of the messengers of God, saying, God has heard the boy crying. I have heard my people. I have heard the boy. So God sees. This is the God who sees. This is the God who hears. And we're getting these ideas about God, both of these ideas about God from a character we wouldn't expect to hear things about. It's almost this cast aside, this outcast woman, and it's in her stories that we're getting more information about who this Hashem is, who this God is, God who sees, the God who hears. Continuing, verse 22, Abimelech returns. About this time, Abimelech came with Phicol, his army commander, to visit Abraham. That sounds suspicious, doesn't it? God is obviously with you, helping you in everything you do, Abimelech said. Swear to me in God's name that you will never deceive me, my children, or any of my descendants. I have been loyal to you, so now swear that you will be loyal to me and to this country where you are living as a foreigner. Abraham replied, Yes, I swear to it. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well that Abimelech's servants had taken by force from Abraham's servants. This is the first I've heard about it, Abimelech answered. I have no idea who is responsible. You have never complained about this before. Abraham then gave some of his sheep, goats, and cattle to Abimelech, and they made a treaty. But Abraham also took 7 additional female lambs and set them off by themselves. Abimelech said, Why have you set these 7 apart from the others? Abraham replied, Please accept these 7 lambs to show your agreement that I dug this well. Then he named the place Beersheba, which means well of the oath, because that was where they had sworn the oath. After making their covenant at Beersheba, Abimelech left with Phicol, the commander of his army, and they returned home to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree at Beersheba, and there he worshipped Hashem, the eternal God, which is El Olam. And Abraham lived as a foreigner in Philistine country for a long time. End chapter 21. Okay, so we got through 2 chapters today. Woo-hoo. So Abimelech returns on the scene. It is still his land. He's allowing Abraham to live there. But for whatever reason, he's concerned because Abraham is a foreigner living in this land. Hey, I want your assurance that that you're not going to try anything against me. And notice what he wants. He wants his allegiance to him as king and to the land. You're not going to start a revolution. You're not going to try anything like that. If a foreign invader comes in, you're not going to join forces with them. You're going to let me know. You're going to help me out. You're going to help me out. And he brought along the commander of his army with him as well. Maybe that helped Abraham make his, be so quick in saying, "Oh yeah, absolutely, I'm on your side, dude." Um, or he might have brought him along just in case, just in case just in case Abraham wants to try anything funny, just in case Abraham doesn't go along with what I'm asking. Whatever the case may be, he was there. But they're going to leave. Now, Abraham talks about this well, this little incident. Hey, I never heard about it before. Well, this is the first time you've been around. You haven't been in touch with us, we could say at that point. But they make this treaty. They make this promise with each other. Abraham is pledging his allegiance to King Abimelech and to being helpful and not hurtful. And Abimelech is saying, fine, you can live here. This is your land. And yes, this is your well. I'll keep my people away from it. And gave him extra sheep just for that purpose. All right. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow for day 16, and we'll be looking at chapter 22. Okay. Yeah, chapter 22. I don't think we're going to get 2 chapters tomorrow. I think tomorrow is just going to be chapter 22. Probably going to have quite a bit to say about it. And some of you may be very familiar with the story in chapter 22. And I think I'm probably going to point out some things that you might not have noticed, as well as giving you a different understanding, other possibilities of meaning to the story. Okay, in chapter 22. And that'll be tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow at 9 a.m. live here on Facebook, YouTube, and our website, umcchrist.org. Which, if you haven't checked out our website, check out our website. There's all kind of stuff there, and check it out while it is, because we're going to be updating it. Keep that in mind, okay? It looks dated. It looks dated, but if you want to see what a dated website looks like, go to our website and check it out. And know that it's not going to look like that forever. We're going to be making some updates, some major changes to that in the near future. In fact, I think pretty sure our contractor, the person we contracted with, is going to get started on that this week, although you probably won't see any changes for a while. It's probably going to be a while before we go live with that. So anyway, thank you, folks. I do pray that this has been beneficial to you, that you found your time the time spent with me worthwhile, and I pray that God has spoken to you in something I've said and something we've read today. And I look forward to doing this again tomorrow. In the meantime, keep those eyes and ears, physical and spiritual, open for what our living, active, and involved God is doing in your life and in the life of those around you. When you see it, say, "Thank you, Hashem," and then tell somebody about it, just including me. I want to know too. And be blessed, my friends. Be blessed. Bye.